Hello, my name is Jessica Brown, and welcome to the Showrunner Diaries. My name is Jessica Brown, and I am an aspiring screenwriter, filmmaker, multi-hyphenate based in Los Angeles, California. In this series, I am going to attempt to produce a pilot from script to screen. See what happens. I'm originally from Urbandale, Iowa. It's Midwest, below Minnesota, next to Chicago, or not next to Chicago, but next to Illinois. And yeah, while I was in Iowa, I never really did anything in film. If anything, I would watch my father write his screenplays. That was later on in life. I was around 12, 13. Yes, very humble beginnings in Iowa. When I moved to California, that was a big ordeal because I had literally packed everything I had or I could into my car. It was a salvage Chevy Malibu, and I drove myself cross country with everything that I could. I managed to get all the way to California without getting lost, but once I got to San Francisco, I got lost for about 5.5 hours. And it doesn't stop there, because when I got to San Francisco, after getting lost for 5.5 hours, my living arrangement was to move into one of those artist warehouse spaces. Well, that canceled out on me right when I got to San Francisco. So not only was I lost, didn't know where I was, I now no longer had a place to go home to because I was living in an apartment, and I no longer had a place to go to out here in good old California. Luckily, I had a friend that lived in Northern California, a good friend. We had went to middle school and high school together, best of friends, and she had actually moved out to the Bay Area with her family. So I called her, explained the situation, and thankfully her family allowed me to occupy their living room for quite some time. And that was my living arrangement up until that expired. And so I was probably floating around Northern California for a good about 5 years or more. Started to lose track. But it was when I moved in with my friend that I stumbled into the community college, Diablo Valley College. And that is where I kicked off my theater and film life. Which I love the theater standard because it requires you to be more of a professional on the stage and off the stage. And that experience is probably why I was there at a community college for almost 4 years. It was a lot of great information, studying all 3 levels of acting and directing, performing and directing brown bags, being in the club as an inter-club council representative, and then also as a co-president. Man, community college was a fantastic experience, and much of everything that I experienced in the theater department is still applicable today in the film world. At Diablo Valley College, I was one of the people to help launch its first film festival and film competition. And the second semester, I was nominated to be the festival director. So it was at Diablo Valley College where I got my firsts in a lot of stuff. Directed my first big variety show. directed for the stage. The Sister Mary Ignatius Explains It All for You. That is a fantastic play, and I hope to direct that in its entirety someday. I just directed the scene, and it closed down the show, and it was a great experience. The actors killed it. If you get to check it out, check it out. So yeah, college life really set up the foundation for everything that happens up to now. Life through the pandemic, man. So, before the pandemic hit, I was pursuing background acting pretty much full time. Hey, Mighty. She likes the camera. I was working on a lot of TV shows regularly, and it was a good experience. And the day the economy really decided to shut down, I was working my first stand-in gig for a game, and everyone around me was just in complete panic, but it was a quiet chaos panic. Everybody was trying to stay optimistic, stay in their workflow. But they were also trying to figure out what should they be working and what to do in the event everything has to shut down, because everything was literally shutting down as we were trying to work through this major gaming events. Because I mean, people were coming all over from around the world to partake in this event, and so much money went into it, and to not sure if you're going to be able to go through with it or not. And then it was a big ordeal, but it was a lot of fun. And I was booked for another background gig, but that was canceled because everything shut down, and all the gigs that I had booked for that next week all started to shut down. And yeah, so that was pretty much how my world got thrown into the pandemic. No more work, was locked up in a house. It was one of those vacation renting places, and it was a horrible experience being stuck in that house during the pandemic. Fast forward, I ended up getting kicked out of that housing situation, but it worked out because I am where I am now. So yeah, life through the pandemic has not been easy. Aside from housing, I did pick up a job, and that was part of the COVID vaccines, either administrating tests or running vaccines. Which leads me up to present. In this pandemic, I've written a full complete series outlines for every episode for 2 series. And that's pretty freaking cool. Like, I can literally hold tangible paper documents that thick, and that's my work. And also during the pandemic, I made trailers for different screenplays that I have started, and you can see all those on my YouTube channel, and I'm very proud of those. And so, I mean, I utilized the time. I did a lot of self-reflecting during the pandemic. I feel I grew up a lot during the pandemic. I was devastated more than once during the pandemic, but here I am. And I feel optimistic about moving forward.